Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We are here to hopefully make a difference with coaching. We can go straight to the next slide, I think. Or should I introduce the team?
Go for it.
I haven't thought of this. I didn't really plan this very well, have I? We have a team here that I have collaborated with for the last, probably since even before COVID-19. We have James Everett. Say hello, James, so everyone can see you.
G'day, everybody. James here. Welcome.
Did you want to talk a little bit about yourself, James?
Oh, okay. A bit about myself. Been jumping for 27 years, tutoring and coaching for 25 of those. And just one of the reasons for this whole concept coming about was I just felt there was a bit of a lack of emphasis put in our sport towards coaching, and thought that this was a really good area that we could focus on and help everybody else out as much as possible, as well as ourselves, to become better coaches, to provide better ways and tools and personal development for us to be able to instruct and help out everybody else, become better skydivers and have a lot more fun in the air and on the ground.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thanks, James. It was interesting, not long after a coaching conference that I went to in Melbourne with Kristina and Ronnie Perry, and James sent through a synopsis of coach development, and I'd already been thinking about it, and this is where it all sparked. And then I invited Melissa, Mason and Kristina to join the team. So I'll introduce Melissa Harvie next. Do you want to have a little intro about yourself, Melissa?
I'm just checking who's here, and most people know who I am. In this particular context, it was really great that Jules invited me on the team, because Mason and I had done some work on our on-hold presentation, and also because it gave me a chance to collaborate with Jules specifically on building this Cert B coaching course. So really excited, and let's go.
Great. And we have Mason Corby. Where are you, Mason?
Hey, guys. Yep. I just do a fair bit of free flow coaching around Australia, and been working with Jules and Melissa, and I know James and Kristina as well. So been working with them a bit on this, and just want to try and build more free flying coaching around, and share the knowledge, I guess.
Great. And Kristina Hicks.
Yeah, sorry, just unmuting. Just a sort of newbie coach on the team, but very excited to have some input. Skydiving for 4.5 years, coaching for 2. So really enjoyed giving some input, especially from my uni study in my grad cert in sports coaching. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, and that's been super beneficial, getting some info from, that other side, the more, university studies of coaching. It's been really beneficial to have Kristina on the team. So let's move to the next slide, please, Melissa. And we'll talk a little bit about the background of why how we came up with this coach development course. One of the main goals in the strategic plan as far as sport development is retention. There's been talk for a number of years at lots of conferences about, how to get people to stay in the sport beyond their BRELs. What are other sports doing well? I just spoke earlier about going to a conference in Melbourne last year with Kristina and Ronnie, and there was a bunch of other sports that were there, and they were and some of the sports that were leading in their development, and also retaining members and increasing their membership, were really focusing on their coaches and building the quality of coaching. So, better coaches means more engaged participants. And so that's why we thought of making that happen in our sport. Many APF coaches haven't had any formal training in coaching. So what we found, in the process that the 5 of us as a team, through developing this program, we surveyed all coaches and instructors, and I'm guessing that all of you guys here probably answered that survey, so thank you very much. And the feedback that we got was from a lot of coaches that they didn't actually have a course. It was just, here's the book, or here's the exam, do a check jump and off you go. So we thought, yeah, there's definitely a lack there in the initial coach training. And then, you know, the difference between coaching versus instructing. Coaching is quite different to instructing. However, coaches are mainly taught instructional technique from CIs, not necessarily coaching techniques. So instruction is, you know, teaching someone a specific skill versus coaching, guiding someone towards a goal or an outcome. And from the survey, we found there was a lot of inconsistency in the initial coach training, as I explained before, and we'll see in the next slide about from some of those survey responses. There's a definite need for more coaches. Often BREL students, as we all know, they sit around at the drop zone and wait until the TAND and AFF are done before a jump master can actually jump with them. Developing oh, someone was saying something? Hello? Oh, sorry, I thought someone interrupted. Actually having a course that is not only developing skills for existing coaches, but also it can be a lead-in course for potential coaches. Many coaches and instructors, you know, focus more on the skill being taught and not necessarily on the why or even the what's next. And that's really important in retention in the sport. So we'll move on to the next slide. Like I said, we surveyed all coaches and instructors, and thank you again for responding. We had a really good response rate. It was, you know, over 20%, which is pretty good as far as surveys go. From the initial coach training, 38% rated their initial coach training 5 out of 5, which, you know, that's not too bad. 27% rated their initial coach rating 3 out of 5, which isn't so great. So, you know, there's a fairly big difference in the initial coach training. Mentoring or professional development beyond the initial training, more than half receive mentoring or professional development beyond initial training. Got it from the drop zone. 85% think there's a need for professional development beyond initial training, saying that they want it. Well, let's deliver it. And then we asked about what sort of process, how to offer this professional development. 37%, you know, said the best process would be by mentoring, and 40% said, you know, via a short course. So we've sort of developed something that's a combination of the both. And the delivery, 50% or half said that the best person would be an experienced coach. And 70% said the best delivery method is a combination of online and face-to-face. So again, we've taken all this information and we've now, developed a program that's based on that feedback from the survey and from what the coaches want. So moving on to the next slide. So just a few actual responses from the survey that I found were quite interesting. As far as, you know, the initial coach training, it sort of showed that it was very inconsistent around the country. Some people said it was great, really thorough, even commented on particular names of coaches or instructors who ran their course. But others, you know, they said they didn't even know their instructor rating automatically qualified them to be a BRL coach. So there's lots of tandem and AF instructors out there that didn't even know that they could do BRLs. And, you know, others, like I said before, said they were just handed the test and there was no actual course, which is pretty unfortunate. And then as far as professional development beyond the initial training, and this is what's helped us scope and develop this course, many coaches, they have sought ongoing professional development through mentoring and various courses. And they've recommended not to mandate it, and make it tailored for the individual, and also ensure that all locations have access to the course. So that's what we've tried to do. It's not mandated. This is optional for instructors, coaches, for people who are looking to be a coach. And we're going to be running it around the country. We've already had a great response from our initial advertising. The course at Elderslie, which is our first course, was booked out within an hour, and we've had a waiting list to make 3 more happen in New South Wales, and we've also had responses around the country, about 4 in each state, so we could easily deliver this course around the country, which is really exciting. Next slide, thanks, Melissa. Yeah, so where to from here? Well, like I said, we've come up with this working group, and we've spent pretty much since March. We're meeting like once a fortnight for a while there, at least once a month, and just going backwards and forwards, sharing ideas. It's been a really great process working with this team, and our goals now that we've actually developed this course is to help instructors and coaches, further develop their coaching skills and approach. It's networking and learning from shared experiences. It's so important. It's really interesting. The Elderslie course, it's got a range of participants, from senior instructor down to someone who isn't even a coach. So I think those people who aren't even coaches are going to be able to give just as much or even more to this course, as just with fresh ideas on what their perspective of coaching is. To more advanced instructors who are probably set in their ways, potentially become practitioners and enthusiasts for coaching best practice, which is we're always striving to be better, which is really important. We also want to help the licensed skydivers for them to support B-roll jumps more effectively, explore and practice the coaching role in preparation for their Cert B assessment. So it's going to be a great foundation for those upcoming jumpers who will be our future coaches. And then most importantly, for our novice skydivers, these new people in our sport, to give them the best coaching that we can offer, and also realise opportunities beyond the BRLs. Like I said earlier, lots of coaches and instructors, particularly instructors, I guess, they're used to instructing and just teaching the skill and the what's now, but not actually talking about the what's next and offering goals and opportunities beyond the BRLs. And hopefully with that thought process, we'll work, build better retention in the sport. So I'm going to hand over to Melissa now. Melissa's going to be facilitating the BRL coach training or coach training, and she can talk to that. And then after that, Mason, he's been running a train the trainer for free fly coaches for some time, so he's going to talk a little bit about that. And then we'll open it up at the end for questions and comments. So I'll hand you over to Melissa.
Thanks, Jules. Hey, look, before I go on, is there anything like immediate or sparking for anyone? Because, Jules has just summarised a whole process that's been happening over months, perhaps with your engagement, and this is sort of where we're coming out of that process. So anybody got anything sort of short and sharp as an immediate sort of takeaway from what Jules has explained? If you do, could you unmute?
Or you can type it in the Zoom chat. I think everyone's
just flag if you have. Flag if you have. Was that anybody talking, or was that just Jules? No. Okay. Well, look, it's been a really exciting process, and you guys have been part of it for the people who responded to the survey. So thank you. And coaching's a little bit dear to my heart, and especially meeting people who've come through their certificate Bs and they want to do stuff. They want to achieve their goals. They want to share stuff in the sport with their friends. They want to be included and be involved. And they struggle because in many instances, the experience that they've had in certificate B has not actually helped them prepare for being independent. So my first slide basically says, well, look, why Cert B? And I think I've just answered that. It's because it's the first rung in the coaching ladder for the coach, but what that coach has to achieve for the skydiver is huge. After AFF training, people have to become independent. And I know Robbo and myself and lots of other people, and Andrew and I have spoken about this at length. It's a really challenging syllabus to actually get people through operational information, to get them through techniques, tools and techniques, and be able to actually plan skydives and be safe amongst other people. It's a huge step. So really the depth of that role is huge, and it's also the one opportunity for the student to learn the basics that are generic to every discipline. So if anyone had the joy of being part of Mason and I in our seminar a number of months ago, we're basically saying this is the place where people get the opportunity to learn skills that are generic to everything: wingsuiting, relative work on your back, on your belly, on your head, whatever. And it all comes from that certificate B coach. Does anybody agree with me? I can't see because I'm sharing, so I don't know if anybody's got their thumbs up. I hope you have.
Lots of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So look, why come to the course? Jules mentioned that in Elderslie we've actually got a great variety. We've got highly experienced instructors who are looking for a refresh and a bit of a fine tune and the opportunity to network and learn. We've got people who are going through a mentored program that Robbie is running at Elderslie to actually get them through their accreditation. So the course isn't going to take them through their accreditation. That's not the plan. That's not the purpose of the course. It's about professional development, learning who you are as a coach and what's important to provide a coaching experience for someone who is essentially your client. They are paying money for this experience, right? So it's not just an instructional job, it's a mentoring job, it's a coaching job, it's helping someone actually be set up to progress in the sport. And the challenge that I've discovered in talking to a lot of people is that although you're given a frame of reference, like a contract set of documents as a BREL coach, you're given your manuals, you're given your commercial arrangements that are already existing on the drop zone, you've got your operational procedures on the drop zone. The actual essence of coaching is about that relationship and your ability to communicate effectively so that people can learn. And coaches have very little time to invest in their own development. So although that technical stuff and knowledge is important, a good BREL coach can communicate, guide, and mentor so that the student can become independent. And the profile of the course looks at what's in our coaching framework, what can we leverage, what are the unique features of our coaching environment, risk management, safety, fear, dealing with people who might be professionals in their own job, but actually having to be a student in this situation, and all the soft skills that actually give you the ability to engage with that person and step out of who you are and start looking at who that individual is so that you can help them. So that's the goal of the course, to actually profile those things and give people a chance to explore and learn about themselves. And that's why we've included licensed skydivers, because as Jules said, we're discovering that some of those people have actually got coaching and counselling skills in their day job that they'll be able to bring to bear and actually learn how to apply those things and help us use them as well in that coaching environment. So that's the opportunity of the course itself. Little bit about what are you going to do when you come on the course. And thanks to all the support from the APF and the work that Jules has actually helped me with and constant reviews and the stuff that we've been able to leverage from the academic side and Mason, we've developed a workbook which effectively gives a framework to the course. As Jules mentioned, we also did a funky video which is a bit cheesy. It was done on a budget. Thank you, Garnet. I saw you there. You put a lot of work into helping us edit that. Andrew Barker starred in it. Kim Yusuf, who had literally just passed his B-Rails, was our B-Rails student. We kind of missed it by about a weekend or two. But we've actually developed some materials that are actually going to give you some structure and some framework to the conversations in the course. We're going to meet on Zoom as a team to start with, and some of the people that we'll be meeting with for Eldersley are here tonight. And we'll be meeting next week and do a little bit of an introduction so we can get that time done and everybody knowing who they are before we actually meet on the drop zone. There's some pre-work that people can do to prepare for the course, so some reflection, some action, some reading, and also we're going to be doing some jumping on the course. I couldn't think of a better way of just sort of showing jumping, so I've got people jumping, and that's the jumping. So there's going to be DZ activities, hopefully with jumps if the weather is good, a lot of workshops, a lot of discussion, a lot of role plays, experiential learning, followed by a sort of an assessment, which is more your opportunity to play back what you're now going to take into your coaching practice rather than a pass and fail. And then we're looking for feedback so that we can improve the course. So it's a pretty intensive process. Jules has actually reviewed the slides that accompany it. I mean, Jules, would you say that it's somebody turns up and they just get told what to do? What's your impression of the experience that you're going to have?
I'm really looking forward to it. To me, it's going to be everyone sharing ideas and learning from each other, as well as, you know, facilitated by Melissa, who's, you know, exceptional coach, not just in four-way, but, you know, in flying skills and coaching skills. So I'm really excited about about learning from each other, you know, and sharing ideas. It's going to be great.
Okay, fantastic. And it's going to help if people prepare. So just be aware of that. If you sign up, a little bit like my brand, that everybody will know it's what you put in that actually gives you the most out of it. So, and we can help you through that. Oops, I apologize. In terms of the comment I was going to make, yes, we do have some courses booked. We've got a waiting list. Please send Jules your expression of interest if you would like to participate in this. You can be a licensed skydiver who has your certificate B and is supporting B-Rails. You can be an experienced app instructor, coach, tandem master who wants to maybe go into coaching. And you can be a Cert B coach already, or just someone who's working through your accreditation. Everybody will bring something to the party. And everybody hopefully is going to walk out of it with some enhancements and things to think about in terms of how they can give the student the best experience possible to become a licensed skydiver and continue through our sport. And that's really the ultimate goal. So before I move on, because I'm going to pass it over to Mason, is there anything that anybody wants to say or ask a question about that particular, the things that we've just talked about? Everybody's very quiet.
Perhaps I've just got something to say. Perhaps when we went through this, I think the framework put together is fantastic, and kudos to the guys that have spent so much time making it. And one of the things that we thought about while we were doing these kind of practice jumps was it's not just the discipline that you're involved in that this person might end up doing. And when we thought back, you know, I remember doing AF jumps with Andy Knowles, with Scotty Hisco, with TGS B-Rolls. I did his first four-ways, you know. So I think, you know, we sort of thought back and thought, gosh, maybe something that we did helped inspire them to go on with the sport. You know, maybe they would have anyway. They ended up, you know, going on and becoming fantastic competitors and skydivers, doing things that we ourselves even couldn't do. So I think that's something to bear in mind. I know Melissa said it before, but it's not just about teaching them your skills. It's about, you know, where they might take it.
Thank you. Yeah, good point. Yeah, absolutely good point. And one of the conversations we'll make or have on the course is the fact that even though for me, I have a love of four-way, right? Wow, I want everyone to do four-way. But the reality is everybody wants to do something different in the sport. So being able to be a coach and being agnostic for your own preferences and helping people learn all the things that are going to help them no matter where they're going to go, that's really the job. So yeah, Andrew, good point. Thank you. Anybody got anything else before I hand over to Mason?
Can I also comment to that? Just because, you know, my main thing is canopy and has been for many years. And I recently got involved in and went through Melissa's Supercharge, and which is mainly based on free fall skills. And, you know, I still love doing B-reels and AF instructing and free fall, free fly, whatever. And what you know, I've sort of dabbled in most disciplines. And the one thing, you know, coaching is quite generic, but even our disciplines are very similar, you know, and even in Mason and Melissa's on hold session a few months ago, you know, there was lots of similarities in what we do, you know, stop, don't pick up grips, you know, and all that kind of thing. And we even do that in crew, and, you know, don't reach and breathe and relax and all that sort of stuff. And even that skill based, but the coaching philosophy is the same. So even if, you know, you're not a B-roll coach, but you're aspiring to be a free fly coach, I would recommend going on this course. I mean, and I mean, I'm looking forward to going on to this course with Melissa on Mason's Train the Trainer, and just learning different styles of coaching. You know, just if you want to become a better coach, then, you know, learn from different coaches. It doesn't necessarily have to be that discipline, you know, for yourself too, as well as what Andrew was saying about, you know, for your students, you and you might be able to learn some stuff from a different discipline that can help you steer your students that way as well. If nothing else, just networking with other great coaches too. Yeah, we're a pretty amazing sport.
That is brilliant. Well said. And I need to do a little bit of work on my backfly and sit fly before I think I can go on Mason's course. You're obviously further ahead than me, but anyway, maybe I could just be an observer. We'll have to have that conversation. So talking of Mason, I'm going to hand over to him. He's been supporting our sport and our community with Train the Trainer, very much focused on free fly and angles, a very technical area. Mason, would you like to unmute yourself, and I'll just bring your slide up to lead your discussion. Okay, over to you.
Cool, you can hear me right, I'm guessing. Yeah, well, you three just stole the words out of my mouth as well, so sorry to be on repeat, guys. Pretty much you're dead right, Andrew. Back then, mate, working at Picton in those days when I first come on board as well, I was lucky to have the instructor ones, but I can see so many similarities with all the B-roll stuff that has just translated all the way up through my entire skydive career. So it definitely starts there. Definitely get on as much as you can and try to, like, if you want to coach, get on that course, start with the knowledge, and it's just going to build more and more. So I can't recommend it enough. And it just definitely translates, as Jules was saying as well. So yeah, it all translates together. And with this course, like the Train the Trainer one, I've been doing it for, well, I had done it when I first come back from Europe. It's changed a little bit now due to, and this, you can see this slide here. That's just the course content of what gets taught on the course. But with, oh, now I'm muddling my words. I want to say about 10 paragraphs all in the space of a sentence again. So with the course itself, it's changed because of after working with these guys and seeing so many different ideas with how it's going. This first course is going to be more of gaining a lot more knowledge, and then I'm going to do a lot more pre-course material as well. So at the moment, as you can see, there's like weather and the effects on tracking and stuff. Before each kind of jump or stuff, we're going to be breaking it down and doing a lot of course material, then putting in practice. So we do the lessons and then theory. So the aim is eventually, like Melissa has, is to have a lot of pre-course material. So when they come on, a lot of it's done. So we can just do a lot of the theory afterwards. And then it just cuts the time down a lot more rather than having to do a lot more classwork. So with the course content, a lot of it's not just about coaching, how to coach free fly and stuff like this. There's all sorts of other things. Okay, so obviously weather. This is really important to know if you're going to be coaching a lot of people as well. You want to know what kind of environment you're in. You want to know when to call it, when not to call it, when safe. So you're going to be making a lot more decisions. People are going to be looking at you to make decisions. So I'll include other things like this within the course as well. And I'm sure there's going to be certain things like that on the B-roll course too. So communication skills, the same as what it is on the B-roll course. So a lot of this stuff is as Melissa said, and Jules said, it's stuff that's taught in the beginning, and we're just kind of rehashing over it and building more knowledge on it, and rehashing and building more knowledge. And it's just really interesting. If you do go on multiple of these courses, I'm sure there's going to be so many techniques that you're going to see that just translate over the disciplines. Yeah, after talking to these guys, I want to just go and get all my ratings now as well. It's just, yeah, I love it too much. So yeah, if you're interested in this, like I'll be doing the next one here in, I think, week's time at Toogs. That one's full. And then the plan is, if this all goes well, to start running them around the country as well. Like the original goal was to spread the same knowledge countrywide, so that way we could grow more local coaches. And this is going to facilitate the ability to just grow more people. So on these camps as well, the same thing. I'm not going to be just teaching these things, but also some things about how to fill out the funding apps, how to build local level camps as well. So you're not just learning how to be a coach, but actually how to build a camp. If you want to learn how to build a camp, okay, I'll help you do that, and then we can start working on that. If we start creating more of a community with this, it's I think that's the big goal as well. More community, larger coaches, more feedback, and just, yeah, grow the sport, I think, is the end goal from what it seems like with this group. And would be great, because it seems like fun jumping's back on the cards at the moment in Australia, which is excellent. So yeah, that's it from me really. If anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot them through, or if you're too shy, shoot them through to me afterwards anyway. So back over to you guys.
Thanks, Mason.
No worries.
Yeah, like I said before, it's been really, I'm very grateful to have the pleasure of working with Mason, Melissa, James and Kristina over the last few months. It's just been a really great process, and yeah, just learning about each other's disciplines, but also just really thinking about, you know, that big picture that coaching is coaching. It doesn't matter what discipline it is, and we're here as coaches to give back to those young jumpers who, that's where we were back then, and we just want to make them froth and everyone have a good time. And like Mason said, now's the time, while there's half the amount of tandems happening around the country, let's keep the planes up in the air. So yes, we want to open up this now for discussion to the audience. For everyone, thank you again for coming this evening and taking the time. Obviously, you're passionate about coaching too. How are we doing? Are these courses helpful? Well, we haven't run one yet, but we're hoping so. But even just, you know, your thoughts on what we've talked about so far, and any feedback. We've asked, I know Melissa and Mason have already asked, but anyone got any comments or questions about what we've just talked about and what the courses that we're running are and how we're going to deliver them?
Hey Jules, it's Shirley here. Can I ask, I've got a couple of things.
Yeah, please.
I suppose the first thing, one of the first things I'd like to say is there was a statement that said coaches have little time to invest in their own development. And I kind of disagree with this to a certain extent, because if you're offering a service that you're being paid for, you should be offering a certain level of service. And that means that you need to actually do your professional development to do that. So, you know, it's basically, I think that that's a cultural thing that should be encouraged. If you're going to be a coach, then be at a standard that's acceptable, not just because, oh, it's going to give me a free jump and all of those kinds of things. That was the way it was in the past. I'd also like to know, in terms of the courses, how long? Is it a day? Is it a weekend? How much time is required to be invested prior to, with the Zoom and all of that kind of thing? And where does the mentoring come in? Because I know that in your response to the survey, there was a number of the coaches that said, you know, that they felt that they would really benefit from mentoring. And do you see mentoring being a one-to-one partnership that you put together with somebody, or do you see it as a group mentoring?
It's questions, Shirley. My God. Oh, Jules, did you want to answer? You can go ahead.
No. I mean, yeah, there were lots of questions. Yeah, feel free. You start, Melissa. And
okay. Look, hey Shirley, I take your point. I fundamentally agree with you that as a coach, we have a responsibility to invest. Some of the people that I meet are not fully aware about what coaching is in a bigger picture, and they have got this opportunity to be a Cert B coach, and they take it and they work on their drop zone, and this course will give people like that a broader understanding of what coaching actually is. Kate Vaughan has this wonderful little analogy. She says, you've got 2 toilet rolls and you think this is your job, and then through this course hopefully we'll give people the opportunity to understand what they can be doing to improve their service. For those who are already there with that understanding, then this is an opportunity for them to do that in a course that, to your point, requires a little bit of pre-work. So I would say probably a couple of evenings, so maybe 2 to 4 hours, depending on how intense you want to get. The Zoom call is 1 hour. We're going to run that about a week before each course. And then the course itself is 2 days on a drop zone. So typically a Saturday, Sunday, or midweek if it's a commercial drop zone and staff are sort of on the ball for midweek. From a mentoring point of view, the course itself has a conversation about pathways for coaches, as well as for students, but specifically for coaches. And finding a mentor is something that we can help participants with. It's a recommendation that they find a mentor, that they maybe shadow someone. And I know, like in Aussie Bigways, we offer people the chance to come and shadow an Aussie Bigways coach. Not many people take it up, but it is there on offer. And will help. I can help people find mentors. At the moment, personally, I mentor a lot of people, so I'm not necessarily available to pick up too many more. But my hope would be that we can help each other find mentors based on where people want to go. How does that go as a response, Shirley?
Thank you. Thank you. That covers all my questions.
Hey, Melissa.
Yes.
All right. This is quite a specific topic, and I don't know if it's a coaching topic, but from a very selfish personal point of view, what I would love is a go-to 4-way exit for BREL 6. Being a dirty, rotten camera flyer, I don't practice exits, and I would love to have the knowledge to be able to pass on to the... I kind of avoid BRELs, especially because I know I don't have the right information for people. And then I watch tandem masters do BRELs and I know more than what they're doing. And I'm just like, it pisses me off a bit that people... Anyway, sorry, that was an aside. My question is, can we just talk about a good go-to 4-way exit? And I would like the information that I pass on to students.
Easy. You and I are working together this weekend in an Aussie Bigways event, so we'll find some time to look at options and have a chat. It's going to be a bit of a hands-on conversation rather than just say do this, do that, because that could take an hour, as I'm sure Mason would appreciate. But what we'll do is we'll talk about it over the weekend. We'll get you something so you've got that confidence. It's a really, really good point. It's sort of on my agenda, tips and tricks for the course. So hopefully we'll get a course at Picton soon and you can come to that and get even more information about it. But we'll definitely talk about it over the weekend.
Thank you.
And it's Trish. You're in the dark, but I know it's you.
Okay.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, who's that? I'm sorry.
Hello, it's Holly Godwin. How are you?
Hello, Holly. I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. I've got 2 questions for you. The first question is just regarding the assessment that you said is within the course. Is that an assessment that's going to be kind of like a pass or fail assessment, or will it be more like checking the kind of like confirmation of learning type of assessment? If you could explain a little bit more about what the assessment would be. And also too, I'm wondering if there's any scope potentially, I assume that the APF is an RTO, and if there's any scope for this course to potentially be cross-matched across to any units of competency, perhaps in the TAE 16, which is the Cert 4 in assessment and training. That's it.
How about I let Jules think about the answer to the second question and I'll answer the first one. I did mention, but I appreciate I talked pretty quickly. I apologize. The assessment is not a pass and fail. It's providing people a series, I think it's 10 scenario-based questions on a Google form. So they'll just fill it in like a survey. It just gives the people the opportunity to sort of play back their coaching approach using the information that they have taken from the course, and actually demonstrate to themselves and to us that they've got something out of it and that they're going to enhance their coaching practice going forward. So it's not a pass or fail, it's more a case of like, okay, what have you learned and how's that going to affect your coaching practice positively going forward? So that's the assessment side of things. And at the end of that, there's going to be a stunningly beautiful, I hope Higo isn't here because he calls them placemats, but a stunningly beautiful APF certificate of completion. Yay! The second question, Jules, do you want to answer that for Holly?
Sure. The APF isn't an RTO. They went down that track a number of years ago. I feel like I'm still new to the office. I've been here for about a year and a half, and I have looked through the documentation that John Meara spent a long time investigating becoming an RTO, and I don't know why they didn't continue with that. It could be more of a Richard or Charles question, being the safety and training management. And CEO, but Richard was also the previous safety and training manager. He'd probably have a better idea because it was around that time. And so unfortunately, no, it wouldn't be able to be used as RPL for any sort of certificate force, which is unfortunate.
But that's okay. Okay, thanks, Jules. I didn't realise that the APF wasn't an RTO. Actually, I actually assumed they were. So that's good to know. So yeah, I don't know. Potentially, maybe even if the APF aren't an RTO, potentially it still could be used if somebody wanted to go, apply for RPL for the TAE 16. There could be some good things in the course that could be used if another outside external RTO would be happy to use some of the things. I don't know, it was just a thought, but thank you.
No, thank you, Holly.
Just on a side note there, Holly, over the course of COVID, I actually went through and did the TAE Cert 4. And yeah, there doesn't really seem to be anything in there that you can draw back on from those sort of courses to be able to get sign off on that one. In regards to what we're looking at with this, it was, I did a 3-week intensive course and still had a bit of work to do outside of that time frame in regards to the Cert 4 training and assessment. But still a worthwhile course just to go through and actually do straight up with an RTO.
Okay, cool. Thanks, James.
No worries, Holly.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions for any of us? We could talk a little bit about the next, as Shirley asked about, that ongoing mentoring, which several people from the survey responses have requested. I guess it's more of an informal mentoring, but every second on hold session is going to be dedicated to coaching topics. So I'm a bit of a survey freak, and I've surveyed the members on what people wanted from on hold, and the top, 50 top started, and I asked for how regular they would like on hold sessions to be, and it was sort of split between monthly and fortnightly. So we're going with monthly, and once a month there'll be safety, and then every other month will be so every other month will be safety, and every other month will be coaching topics, and that will follow through on you know, what we're going to be doing with this coach professional development. So we're going to be asking people who are attending the courses what they would like. And we're going to ask you now, you know, if there's any topics you would like us to cover, whether it's discipline specific or a bit more broader and coach technique specific. That's what we'd like to offer as a, you know, sort of mentoring, just another way of connecting coaches together to even, again, share ideas about coaching techniques. Whether you want a guest speaker, I've had, you know, requests for people like Pete Allen and and some other American coaches I can't think off the top of my head. Pete was the first one that came to mind. But, you know, if people have other guest speakers that they'd love to hear from, that's, I think, the forum for us to share ideas, network, and even potentially pick up a mentor that is more a one-on-one mentor for those who might want and need that. So if anyone has any suggestions for topics for future on-hold sessions with regards to coaching, please put them, you know, up in the chat room, or speak up if you're not too shy. What else did we? No one. I guess. Oh yeah, go for it, James.
Just a side note back to Shirley's questions at the start. The professional development, one of the reasons why this whole process sort of kicked off was that there hasn't been any pathway, so to speak, or time spent on coaches within the APF, not in a significant way over a long period of time. There used to be some courses that you could go and do, being the Cert 2 coaching accreditation, but that was disbanded by the Australian government back in 2007, 2008. And the APF, I think the last one that was run on that was around 2004, 2003, something in around there. And there just hadn't been any professional development aimed at coaches. A lot of the development within the APF was all tasked at instructors and then retention of A-licensed jumpers. So a lot of the effort was sort of going into there and didn't actually come into the coaching side. And one of the things and areas that I felt over the years was coaches are a pivotal part of any sport. In any way, they're more like a binding unit of the community. One, because they're in front of so many different people, not just the person they're coaching, but potentially everyone else around them. And it just seems like such a great way to bring the sport much closer together and to get that retention happening through investing in coaches and pathways for coaches. This is just the first step, hopefully, in a long period of moving forward and developing the coaching side and offering those pathways for professional development.
Yeah, thanks, James. And it's really important to think about it from a coach's perspective. Like you said, there hasn't really been anything for the coaches. And to me, this is, you know, sounds like, oh, professional development for me. It's like, it's something for the coaches to become better. And it's something for them, because coaches are so giving, you know. They're always giving to their students and trying to be the best that they can be. And it's something for them to, you know, to progress their own skills, because so caught up on giving and time and energy to your students. And some people, that's all they do, instructors and coaches. They don't actually do a lot of their own sort of fun jumps. And this is a way, you know, it's a way to develop themselves as a coach in their environment, because that's what they love to do.
Hey, Jules.
Yes.
Jules, hi. I've got a question for the audience. What Mason and I are basically focusing on are a few disciplines out of many in the sport. And we know from the conversations that I've had on drop zones and people who've been talking to me and to others in the working group that there are other disciplines who would be keen for some kind of coaching focus, professional development focus, like wingsuiting, for example, perhaps canopy flight as well. So what's the audience's view on the value of having those targeted courses where we're covering aspects of coaching, but also those more technical aspects of Cert B, free fly, angles, wingsuiting, whatever?
Melissa, it's Shirley here. I think that would be a great idea because I think there are some coaches in those disciplines that would perhaps see what's being offered here as the, coaches for BRELs or what have you, may not necessarily attend that course. But if it was a course that was aimed at wingsuit coaches or at canopy coaches, then I think you might bring a few more people in. So I think it would be a great idea.
Thanks. Anybody else have a view?
Dumpling said in the chat room that he would like wingsuiting. Yes, please. Thanks, Dumpling. You can speak up if you like. Well, the plan is, and this was actually the plan, we were starting with the biggest audience, which obviously is BRELs, and, that is where the main focus, of retention is beyond the BRELs. So let's start with the BREL coaches. And like Andrew said, BREL coaches, coach people who end up becoming Aussie and world champions in free flying and other disciplines. So it all starts from there. And then, like I said, Mason's already been running his Train the Trainer for a number of years. I ran a Train the Trainer in canopy coaching for a number of years before I took this role on with the APF. And that's my goal, is to look into developing from this foundation that we've made with the BREL coach course and make that Train the Trainer for canopy coaches just as good or better. Just, reinvent it, because, there's always opportunities to make your courses better. And actually what I found running that canopy coach course was that I was mainly upskilling existing BREL coaches and AF instructors on how to brief and debrief the canopy side of their students' jumps, as opposed to actually creating canopy coaches. So, there's an avenue for that too, which is pretty cool. It was very exciting.
Jules, Shirley here again. I've got another question for you. When you ran your canopy course, it was kind of like dependent upon you being able to go around the country and do that. And we're obviously faced with the same thing at the moment with the BREL coach, dependent upon Melissa taking it around the course. Is it the intent, as an adult trainer, when I put training together, I put everything together with all the manuals, with all the aims, with all the coaches' notes and everything, so that it can be handed over to somebody else who has the same kind of like skill set and be able to be run by another person in another place? Is it the intent that that's what will happen with this, rather than it being hooked onto one person who has to kind of like take it around the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that, Shirley. Absolutely. So we have not only the workbook for the participants of the course, but we have a facilitator's guide, and for that exact reason, so that we can make it that there's multiple people delivering it, and we want more experienced coaches actually delivering this. So we're just trialing it out with myself for canopy, Melissa for BREL, and Mason in free fly. But for sure, we hope that other people will put their hands up to also to run this. Yeah,
I do have a topic, possibly, please, Jules.
Yes. Trish.
I've watched Cole Porter in his geniusness. How to extract from the student what they think that you're asking them, because we can convey information and we think we have told them what we think we have, but what they have heard can be completely different to what we've said. So people with experience in coaching, their skills around extracting from the student what they think is going on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because it can be different, like trying to decipher what a student thinks they want you to do can be completely different. Am I doing too much double Dutch?
No, it's that whole, you know, what you say, what they think you say, and what you actually, you know, what you're actually saying, you know, it's that whole, it's communication skills. And that's something that we definitely going to be focusing on on the course.
Cool.
There's a whole, there will be a whole discussion on communication, because it's so
everyone
valuable.
probably,
And it's not just, you know, I think what the APF instructor manual has, you know, there's 3 sides to it. You know, it's what you say, what you think you say, what you actually say, what you think you say, what they hear you say. There's way more to it than that, you know. It's like, what about all the other things that are going on, like the body language and the, you know, what you're thinking behind the scenes, and you know, there's more than just 3 sides to communication. So
not just talking about that, but talking about the strategy or skills to extract it from the student, if that makes sense. So we can be aware of it, that the communication breakdowns there, but everyone's going to do it slightly differly. Does that make sense? No, you've got to confuse them. No,
it's actually really funny because you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm not just talking about the communication, I'm talking about the skill involved. That's right.
Oh, no. So your reception, it's either my reception or your reception is really, so I'm finding it hard to understand what you're saying. Sorry, Trish. Perfect. I'm not sure if it's me jumpy or Trish that's jumpy.
I think you're okay, Jules, and we've hit 8 o'clock.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Yeah, great. Trish, yeah, definitely hit up Melissa on the weekend. It's 8 o'clock. So thank you once again, Melissa, James, Mason, Kristina. Kristina's been a bit quiet tonight, but has been a valuable part of this team. Can't thank you enough for all, for everything that we've done in this last. I'm really excited. The first course is happening in less than 2 weeks, and very excited to be a part of it. And see where it goes. It's a work in progress, you know, and that's what's exciting too. Yeah. So thanks for coming along. And again, if you know, I know everyone gets a bit shy talking on these in these forums. If you do have any suggestions for, you know, future on hold coaching sessions, please email me. Sonia put it in the chat room earlier. And look forward to seeing you all at the next, you know, a next on hold session for coaching, if not at a drop zone soon. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Jules. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good night. Oh, we've got lots of new messages.